Man, I'm just tickled to death. I got somebody coming from somewhere else to talk to me. Now, ain't that something? They coming from somewhere else to talk to me on camera because I told them don't call themselves nigga. They think that that's running to the smoke, that that's not running to the fire. Now, I find that curious because if you think about it, if you really think about it, nigga is the fire. And we burning up in it. We burning up in nigga. And he think it's the smoke. Now, by now, and I don't have a fat head. I don't have an inflated opinion about myself. But by this time, you should know that my name is Brother Larry. I've seen a few things in my life and times. The fact that I'm willing to say this in front of a camera leads some people to believe that this is some sort of self-aggrandizement. I don't have ego issues, which is why initially all you heard was my little beats and compositions. You never saw my face, only because people asked me. They said, well, if you're serious, show your face. I don't take you seriously because you don't show your face. Do you see my face now? Right? I don't have a romantic relationship with my mirror. Some individuals, they can't stop looking in the mirror. That's why they don't see anything that's going on around them. Okay? They're concerned about the way that they appear. They don't care about the way things really are. They're only concerned about the way things appear. Now me, I'm looking at what's going on. I'm looking at what's happening. Marvin Gaye raised this question in the early 70s. What's going on? And I mean, what's the answer? Okay? I think that I see a process. I think that I see and understand how the system works. And in doing so, I began to speak out. And one of the things that I began to say was, don't call yourself nigga. And people began to react, resist. Why are you focusing on that? That's not necessary. Nigga's not important. It's just a word. It don't mean nothing. Oh, this a new day. They come up with all these excuses to call themselves nigga. And I tell them they don't understand that that's that psychological process kicking in that y'all think is Willie Lynch, that y'all think is a chip implanted in your brain. Is actually a trigger. It's like Pavlov's dogs. You understand? And for me to actually explain this to you, absent my village sounds, means that I must really care about you. Okay? Because I very rarely talk without my sound. That is my connection to the universe. That is my connection to us. Because that sound is what connects us through time and space, or space-time, from the ancestors to the now to the future. There will always be sound. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just floating around. I just captured a little bit of it and recreated it. Now, the fact that brothers think, on the one hand, that niggas insignificant, that doesn't puzzle me. That just means that they're being victimized by nigga. So it's a rare phenomenon for someone who is suffering from an illness to realize that they're suffering from an illness, unless the illness produces symptoms. Okay? So now, if I'm postulating that nigga is an illness, it has to have some symptoms, right? Now, one of the symptoms of this illness is self-hatred. Okay? It manifests itself in a multitude, or just to mess with y'all, a plethora of ways. One of the ways it manifests itself, I mean, you guys say you're a crab in a barrel. You see somebody trying to get out, you pull them down. You see brothers accuse me of raising the specter of light skin, dark skin, right? As if it's ever actually gone anywhere, right? I mean, we deal with this. What the hell do you think people are doing when they're buying bleaching cream and bleaching their skin? What the hell do you think people are doing when they put weaves in their hair, or put wigs on their heads, or put jerry curls in their hair for these guys, or put waves in their hair to look like anything other than themselves? They are being victimized by nigga. And you don't understand. That is plantation. They don't want to identify with the people on the plantation, while at the same time talking exactly like the people on the plantation. They want to get as far away from the image of what they perceive as slavery. Okay? They want to get away from that image, at the same time recreating that image, bringing forth legacies from that image, beating their children and saying that's the only thing they understand. That's slave talk. Because our ancestors didn't speak English, so they would beat them to make them do things. And that began to take hold in their minds that was the only thing that they understood, was being brutalized. Because that was how they learned to communicate initially. Now, the young brother makes an observation that we didn't say anything when the cracker called us nigga. And at the same time, he says he studies history. Right? See, these brothers, they look at ancient Kemet, ancient Egypt, and they think that, oh, that's glorious. That's our history. And they call themselves these Kemetic names, Sa-Ra, Sutin, Seti. You understand? Mind you now, I'm not knocking a brother for that. But at the same time, I'm trying to show you how reality isn't necessarily what you see when you look at that perspective. Okay? In ancient Kemet, for one thing, we didn't have these issues of black people having a low opinion of themselves. Didn't exist. In ancient Kemet, we didn't have these issues of white people ruling over us. Didn't exist. In our more recent ancient past, okay, which is how we got here, right? We were most probably, peaceful villagers, farmers cultivating rice fields on the west coast of Africa, because they did not just randomly target our ancestors. They wanted fields cultivated. They wanted crops grown. They wanted land tilled here in the colonies. So they targeted individual cultures that possess these skills. This is why our ancestors came here with such high degrees of skill. I don't really think you guys understand what happened to us. We were the victims of crime. They did not victimize randomly. This was a really well thought out, organized, well financed venture. You understand? It involved banks, it involved insurance companies, it involved shipping companies, it involved newspaper companies, it involved governments. You understand? This is why you had legislation involved in this process. At some point it evolved, right? I'm not telling you that initially it involved all of these things. I'm not telling you initially it was an orchestrated plan that involved the governments of various nations. I'm telling you that it grew into that because it was so lucrative. But it also came from the practice of the Arabs and the Muslims in stealing our people. That's the Barbary Coast slave markets, which was lucrative throughout the Arab world, throughout the Muslim world. Okay? So this is some victimization that's been going on for a few hundred years to our people, right? So now, when you skip past all of that and go back to Egypt, you're not dealing with reality, not my reality. You understand? Because ancient Kemet didn't get me here, right? Now, the fact that you can't see that this, and I can't call it anything less than phenomenon of nigger, is so extremely negative and destructive to us that it is the fire in which we burn. The fact that, and let me be real, since my brother said he likes real talk, it is cowardice, boom, 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 no heart, that keeps brothers calling themselves nigger, that allows brothers to call each other nigger in front of them, that allows people to refer to them as niggas and they don't do shit about it. It's cowardice. It was cowardice on the part of individuals who cowered to the cracker in the past. It is cowardice on the part of individuals who cower in front of individuals now. The fact that brothers won't stand together and ban this shit is cowardice. It is cowardice of the first order. The fact that brothers don't see that standing together and banning nigga would actually be organizing black people. The fact that brothers don't realize the fact that that nigga bomb blew up and has affected every one of us everywhere, that is man, woman, and child, male and female, is problematic. You think we haven't addressed the fire, in your opinion, which is the cracker. Herbert Aptheker documents over 200 slave rebellions. Okay? I mean, I don't have to recount 1831 Southampton. I don't have to recount Nat Turner. Right? I do have to tell you, though, that Nat Turner did not kill every white person he encountered. He spared a couple of white people, saved a couple that was about to get hacked up because they didn't call us nigger. Said he. We have been rebelling against that from day one. We tried to retain our original understanding of ourselves, but that was brutally beaten, raped, and molested out of us until we began to be born without the knowledge of our past. But that, said he, does not a nigga make. That makes a victim. You're a victim. You don't have to remain a victim. And you certainly don't have to teach your children to become victims. You don't have to teach your children